Remember when Baby Keem was the next big thing in hip-hop? Yeah, I do too. Shoot, he got the cosign of a lifetime from his cousin, Kendrick Lamar, and Kendrick doesn't cosign anybody. Well, actually, there was that time where he did cosign XXXTentacion, and shoot, I guess he cosigns Tupac? Yeah, you know what? How about that? Let's go with that. Kendrick does cosign Tupac, but enough of Kendrick, okay? Baby Keem essentially went from being a Grammy award-winning artist.
The Grammy goes to Family Ties, Baby Keem and Kendrick Lamar.
To going dark. And at this point, we might need to put an APB out for Keem's whereabouts. Like, where the hell is he? Seriously. And if you're like me, you've been sitting back asking a few key questions. Like, is he sitting back and he's scared to drop because he's afraid of the sophomore slump? Or is he strategically sitting back and crafting a masterpiece that's gonna blow everybody away? Shoot, if you've been wondering the answers to either one of those questions, you came to the right place, because I'm gonna discuss all of that in this video. By the way, guys, my name is Uche, and I make videos like this every single week, or at least I'm planning to. So if you like what you see, hit that like button. It'll help me grow and push this out to more people. If you want to see me elevate and go to the next level, hit that subscribe button. Hey, now let's get into this. Okay. Let's talk about Hakeem Carter Jr., better known as Baby Keem, aka Two-Phone Baby Keem, Two-Phone Baby Keem, hey, Two-Phone Baby Keem. Hey, yo, that's a fire ass nickname. But let's give some credit to my man Kevin Gates, who was the first person, well, at least in my generation, if you will, to talk about having two phones, man. What's up with these dudes and having two phones, bro? They gotta have one for the plug and one for the low. I'm curious. Is that what Baby Keem meant? Anyway, it's hard not to acknowledge Baby Keem's immense talent. Most of you guys are already familiar with him, but if you're not, he's from Las Vegas, was born in LA, and his background is extremely interesting, right? He's a kid that was making Minecraft videos on YouTube.
Hey, Beast, it's all my mods here, and I'm gonna be doing a review of the Better Sprinting mod.
And essentially started making music in his teens when he got to about age 15 to 16. And of course, he's Kendrick Lamar's cousin. They weren't close, but ultimately, once Baby Keem started making music, he started sending Kendrick songs, and their bond became even stronger. But I think in order to understand Baby Keem's electrifying introduction into this industry, we have to analyze what he does well. And I think it has to do with the unpredictable flows that he brings to the table, the voice control and production and ad-libs, and he has this way of making his sound and songs sound extremely simple, but also very unique at the exact same time. And of course, we gotta talk about how in a world where people would probably assume that because his cousin is Kendrick Lamar, he has to be this rapidy rap dude. Well, it really doesn't appear that some of the people he grew up listening to are any of those, because when you get down to the nitty-gritty of his music, you start to analyze and say, man, he reminds me more of Lil Uzi Vert, right? Than he does somebody who's super lyricist, or even people like Playboy Cardi. I would even go as far to say he has elements of Smoke and Lil Pump. Now, before you guys kill me and act like, why the hell would you compare this guy to anybody that you just named, especially them last two, because where the hell are they at? Just know that, go back and listen to early Pump and early Smoke. These guys was doing a lot of stuff that Baby Keem ultimately became known for, but I digress. Baby Keem's most popular songs are probably Orange Soda, which was on his album Die For My Bitch. And he also, of course, is known for his immense and big song called Family Ties, and his cousin Kendrick Lamar, which was also on the Melodic Blue. And so some of you guys may know him from those songs, but if you are somebody who's been tapped in from day one, then of course you know about the first project he ever put out, which was an EP called Hearts and Darts, which came out August 16, 2018. It has songs like Fortnite, Vicious, Locked In, which was probably my favorite song from the project. And of course, I'd say his most known mixtape before 2019 has to be The Sound of Bad Habit, which dropped October 29, 2018, which was a mixtape that was pretty much entirely produced by Cardo. If you're familiar with Cardo, he has a close ties with people like Currency, people like Wiz Khalifa from back in the day. He even has much more modern production and people he works with, but that album was really dope. And my favorite songs on that project were Check Please, Miss Sharp, Charlotte, and of course, Baby Keem. And that's where he has his infamous two-phone Baby Keem line, right? We move on to Die For My B, which came out July 19, 2019. It has songs like Orange Soda, Invented It, France Freestyle, Bullies, and probably sleeper from that project, which was called My Ex. Man, I really love My Ex. It was that rocker feel, that guitar heavy medley, very simple, but it evoked an emotion that I really enjoyed. Then we move on to his debut project called The Melodic Blue, which dropped September 10, 2021. Also, the deluxe dropped October 28, 2022. It has songs like Family Ties, Range Brothers. Both of those songs had Kendrick Lamar on it. Do Rag Activity featuring Travis Scott, 16, Issues, Lost Souls, which featured Brent Faiyaz, and Scars, which is probably my favorite song from the project. That really reminded me of some early Kanye 808 and Heartbreaks type vibes. One of my favorite eras of Kanye West. That's his discography. And so some of you guys may already be aware of that, but it's clear that he needed to set a real strong foundation before he started tapping it with Kendrick Lamar. So we're gonna mention this all throughout this video, and we're gonna do a deep dive on this because salute to Keem, salute to everything he's been able to accomplish. But I know sometimes it's kind of hard to ignore the relation people have with other family members. And so sometimes it can be a double-edged sword being related to somebody as great as Kendrick Lamar. And so for people who are not aware, Family Ties, which is clearly Baby Keem's biggest song, won a Grammy in 2022, which took home the Best Rap Performance Award, and saw Baby Keem on the stage giving thanks to everybody that helped get him to that point.
I just want to say thank you to my support system, the city of Las Vegas, my family, the women that raised me to shape me, become the man I am today. Team, my incredible team, the women and men that helped shape everything that we got going on behind the scenes. Dave Free, Kendrick, Naya, Ant, and many more. I can't even just thank you, everybody, and it's a dream.
This was all thanks to everything that he had been doing up until that point. But I got a question for y'all. Have there been unrealistic expectations put on Baby Keem? Because I kind of feel like there have been. We're talking about a guy who's had placements on big TDE related projects dating back to 2018. So for some of you guys who are not aware, he produced on the Black Panther soundtrack. It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. But it didn't stop there. He also produced on J-Rock's Redemption album back in 2018. I think that's J-Rock's best album. He specifically produced the song Knock It Off and Rotation 112, right? He also produced on Schoolboy Q's project called Crash Talk, which dropped in 2019. He has credits on the song Num Num Juice, also Lies. And bro, he produced on the Lion King The Gift soundtrack with Beyonce, bro. Like, are you kidding me? And he produced on that song called Nile. And as you're seeing, he's been getting credits this entire time, which lead him up to probably his most notable credit, in my personal opinion, which is on N95, which was on Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers project. By the way, he also has credits on the song Die Hard. I like that song from that album too. But again, is it a double-edged sword to be related to somebody as great as Kendrick Lamar? Me personally, I think Baby Keem is talented enough to stand on his own, hence why people don't look at him like this Nepo baby or somebody who doesn't deserve the spotlight, because I personally think he's done everything he's needed to do to get that shine. You know, I take you back to other examples of folks who are related and siblings that actually work, whether we're talking brother, sister, cousin, or anything like that, right? Think about Ray Shrimmer, right? Sway Lee and Slim Jimmy. They were brothers, but they came up at the same time, so it really worked, right? Also, think about Migos. Migos were cousins, right? Quavo was actually Takeoff's uncle, but either way, they were family. The bottom line, they came up at the same time, so it worked, right? How about Master P and C Murder? Again, brothers, they came up at the same time, so it worked. But some examples of people that came up at different times, but also still work, I think about examples like Benzino and Coyle Ray. Some of you guys laugh at Coyle Ray and think she's not that talented. Me personally, I think Coyle Ray is super talented. She just twerks too much, man. I wish she would let the music speak for itself. Salute to her, but I feel like the music needs to really carry her. She's super talented. Or what about some examples like Billy Ray Cyrus and Miley Cyrus, right? Those are examples of people who've had successful careers on their own but are related. Or even Jessica Simpson and Ashley Simpson, right? Both of these artists, although family members were able to speak for themselves, talent was there and all that other stuff. But there's also some examples that didn't work, like Diddy, right? And his son, Christian Combs. Where is he at? How come Christian Combs hasn't blown up, right? Or Chance the Rapper and his brother, Taylor Bennett. Chance has obviously had a resurgence as of late, but his brother also rapped and made music. He ain't never really popped like that. So sometimes it don't really work. And if we're taking this out of music, let's look at LeBron and Bronny. I want to see Bronny succeed like a lot of people do, but I'm just unclear if Bronny has what it takes to be an NBA player, better yet, be a star NBA player. And so sometimes being related to people can be a gift, but it can also be a curse in the way fans view the family member. In my opinion, I think if you're super successful and you're super talented out the gate, you show you can stand on your own without features, I think you can be successful, right? And so at the end of the day, the connection between Kendrick and Baby Keem is pretty undeniable, because I think if you date this back even as far as 2018, 2019, you'll see that these guys share a lot of similarities in their music, the ad-libs and the production similarities, right? When you talk about the fact that Kendrick is super mysterious, and it almost appears like Baby Keem is trying to take from that element, right? He's trying to create some aura for himself where people can really see what Baby Keem has to offer and let the music speak for itself, because you really don't see Baby Keem anywhere. He don't tweet, he don't post. He didn't even show up for Kendrick's Super Bowl commercials or performance. You haven't seen Baby Keem anywhere, which for him to be signed to PG Lang, you would think otherwise, but I digress. And so it's interesting that a lot of people also don't know that Drake once had a relationship with Baby Keem, right? Forget about the beef that happened between Drake and Kendrick, because I know y'all remember where Drake said K-Dot shit only hitting hard when Baby Keem put his pen to it. I know y'all remember that, but I feel like we are not privy, because I found this out recently, that there was an era in 2019 and even going back where Drake is on record saying Baby Keem's Die For My Bitch was one of his favorite projects of that year. Also, I know y'all remember that song What's Next, right? Super dope song that was on Drake's Scary Hours 2 project. Well, Baby Keem was actually supposed to be featured on that, along with Playboi Carti, but their features never cleared, and so the end result that we got was just Drake. But ultimately, Keem's verse did leak online, and so I find it super, super interesting that you have Baby Keem that has been co-signed by artist after artist, right? His cousin Kendrick, even Drake at one point was heavily co-signing Baby Keem, and I feel like he got those co-signs and then he vanished. All right, let's talk a little bit about that absence a bit more, right? Because technically speaking, Baby Keem has not dropped a full-length album since his debut, The Melodic Blue, drop back in 2021. Now, I guess we'll give him credit because he dropped his deluxe damn near a year later in 2022, but we gonna say 2021, and we're almost in 2026. Do the math, guys. We're damn near 5 years from the last time Baby Keem dropped a project, which I'll be real, that was very successful, right? If you go look at the numbers, Baby Keem's album, The Melodic Blue, debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200. It also sold 53,000 album equivalent units in the first week, which was a extremely high number as compared to his previous project, at least that you would argue that maybe did well from an up-and-coming artist standpoint, which his Die For My Bitch project, it peaked at like 196 on the Billboard. Like, that's not good. But Baby Keem was also able to pick it up. Now, we move beyond that, and we gotta just address the elephant in the room, right? And so there's a couple of key questions I have, right? Do you consider his absence a strategic one, right? Is he just simply pulling from the same playbook as his cousin Kendrick does? Or artists like Playboi Carti, who don't communicate on social media, don't drop music often, but when they do, fans go crazy because they built up this rabid fan base that are just clawing for new music, right? I also can think of artists like Frank Ocean, right? Like, there's a legitimate question I have. Will Frank Ocean ever drop? Is that the sweet spot that artists look for? Do they really want to stress fans out to make them believe that they're probably never gonna get new music from the artist again? Sometimes I be feeling like artists be doing this intentionally, right? Because that is a good strategic, I'm not gonna lie to you. But with The Melodic Blue being his debut project, we now have to start having a conversation. Will Baby Keem have a sophomore slump? Is he on sophomore slump alert? Because there's been other artists who suffered recently from the sophomore slump, like Roddy Ricch or artists like Cordae, right? I would even throw in Chance the Rapper, by the way. Chance the Rapper had a soft slump. The Big Day was probably the worst slump in the history of slumps, right? Like, let's be honest with you. We gotta be real with that. And so, will he slump, right? And also, he's been gone this long. I mentioned Drake a little bit earlier. A lot of people don't realize that Baby Keem's go-to producer named Jahan Sweet was put on one by Boy Wonder. Boy Wonder has made countless records for Drake. And so with the fact that there was this huge civil war in rap in 2022 between Drake and Kendrick, that essentially split hip hop down the middle. And Boy Wonder has been super vocal that he clearly sided with Drake.
He's done a lot, and I wouldn't be the person I am without him today. And I feel like that whole picking sides stuff is just on the internet. Because when you go anywhere else in the actual world, everybody listens to Drake and everybody loves Drake. So you can listen to that internet stuff all you want. Everybody loves Drake. He's the greatest of all time.
Now the question remains, will Baby Keem's man named Jahan Sweet side with him? Because there's a very legitimate chance that a lot of the music that Baby Keem has been cooking could possibly have gotten scrapped because of the Drake-Kendrick battle. Nobody's talking about this. And I understand that this might be a fan theory, this might be just a conspiracy theory, but it's very possible that that might have happened. I gotta just say, when Baby Keem does drop, let's pay attention to his production credits. Let's pay attention to if Jahan Sweet is actually working with him still, because we all know how big production is. Let's not act like the rappers get all the credit. Producers make a lot of this music go, right? And so it's really up to the artist to really persevere and continue to make great music. And Gunna is an example of somebody who's done that, right? There's been a fracture in the industry. A lot of the producers he worked with sided with Young Thug and some of these other people after the snitching allegations. And it took for him to really dig deep, work with some of the people who decided to roll with him, like Turbo, right? And really craft some music that the people are gonna love. So I throw that out. It might be a theory, it might be a conspiracy theory, but let's pay attention to what he drops after this new project comes out, whenever the hell it does, because how impactful was the Kendrick Drake beef on Baby Keem? That remains to be seen. And lastly, what has Baby Keem been up to? I mean, if the reports are true, if you look at the actual timeline, the last piece of music he's dropped was The Hillbillies with Kendrick Lamar back in 2023, right? He's also been on tour with Kendrick over the years, where he actually had an announcement saying that his next album was going to be Child with Wolves, right? He announced that back in early 2024. And so we breeze past the eerie subtweets, him liking comments on Instagram, him virtually being completely MIA. I think the world needs more Baby Keem music. We're going to need more than just some features like he did on Praise God on Kanye West Donda Project back in 2021, or the feature he gave Don Toliver back in 2021 on Outer Space, or even the feature that he gave Kendrick in 2022 on Savior. You know what I mean? There was also a dubstep sort of EDM record that he managed to find his way on with Fred Again back in 2023. I wasn't really feeling that one, but like, I guess you can call that a sighting, right? But I would say the most recent piece of music we've heard Baby Keem on, to my knowledge, is probably what he did on Tyler the Creator's Chromacopia album back in 2024. He had a couple of ad-libs on the song Like Him, right? Like, we virtually have not heard anything from Baby Keem in quite some time. And so more recently, I saw a post going viral on Twitter where Dave Free was being asked who are some artists that he's excited about, what's he listening to right now, and he fittingly, because that's his bands and they're all PG Lang, said that he's been listening to unreleased Baby Keem music.
What's your favorite song at the moment?
Probably like unreleased Baby Keem shit. That's what I've been off especially out here, you know, he make the perfect music for this part of the world.
Okay.
And I'm like, bro, can we get some of that too? Like, damn, like, share some of the wealth. And so we're at a stage right now where I have to figure out if y'all are on my side with this, right? Is Baby Keem forgotten about? Has he dropped enough music for you to actually be anticipating what's next? I don't know. But what do you guys think? Are you expecting big things from Baby Keem on his next project? Or has his extended absence turned you off completely from anything he might drop in the future? Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. Once again, my name is Uche. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.